off-world intergalactic overseer, or farcical fabricated fable? Who was étranger un Pentagon? The stranger in the Pentagon. Stranger, Pentagon, Ray, what says you? Go.
Lieutenant Andreas, why aren't you on board the ship?
What ship? What? Board? What?
Report to me on board the ship in 1 hour, Andreas.
Report to you.
Andreas, I'm on my way to a meeting with Admiral Nagura that won't last longer than 3 minutes. It is my intention to be on that ship directly following that meeting. Report to me in 1 hour. Report to me, you asswipe!
Did he call you?
Ray?
Who else?
Yes, he's accusing me of mutiny and attempting to take over the ship.
Have you ever been on the ship?
No, he's talking about. Anyway, 1957. Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Okay. I found myself in an allied Arctic adventure with a Somnisosis microcephalus tropulus. Greenland shark, if you get the joke. Barely survived. How about you?
Well, obviously I had to go back in time, but I was running around playing with a Pluto platter.
What?
A Pluto platter.
That sounds like some kind of molestation deal.
It's a frisbee.
Oh,
A
okay.
frisbee. Later called frisbee.
I was hanging out with Doc Brown and Marty back around that time. You know when you know, you know.
Yeah, so now on this channel, we have switched out Grimmhauser's movie moments, which will appear on occasion for Grimmhauser's Gamer's Guide or Gamer Guide. Right?
Yep, Gaming Guide.
Yeah, there we are. Gaming Guide. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so that'll be interesting, and I will learn something, and then I will eventually be up all night wasting my life away. But what do you do? However, in 1957, we were not wasting our lives away. We were toiling. We were being burdened.
Oh.
Alexandria, Virginia, 300-foot space craft lands in a farmer's field. Pitchfork in hand, I should imagine. Probably not, but the gendarmes were called straight away, and they arrived to find a well-dressed, handsome, tall, young chap emerge from the ship, and in a very jovial manner, communicated, take me to your leader, boring,
Classic.
same old bit, take me to your president. Of course you do this with the farmers and the local constabulary. And they described this gentleman as a well-dressed, even though he's wearing a snappy flash jumpsuit out of indestructible material, by the way. That's another side mark. Who had 6 fingers in one, recounting. And he was whisked away to the Pentagon and awaiting an audience with President Eisenhower. So, and this chap, when they asked him his name, he said his name was Valiant Thor. And
Thor?
Valiant Thor. That was his name, yeah. But
This is before Disney could sue.
But he was this is 1957, probably a bit of a beatnik, so he said, just call me Val. Yeah. So, something to be said for that. But he reportedly spoke perfect English, but he also could communicate telepathically. And I don't know if he communicated telepathically to the farmers or to the gendarmes or how he did that, or he just spoke perfect Anglais. I don't know what happened there. I can't say.
He ripped English from their minds. That's what happened.
Perhaps. And so he was, like I said, escorted hotfoot to the Pentagon. And within a few days or hours or, what does it matter, he had an audience with President Eisenhower that was rather receptive to his plight and plea. So, he was giving a rather snappy furnished apartment, from what I understand, in the an apartment that was based in the bowels, the deep bowels of the Pentagon, and so. Yeah, a beautiful apartment in the bowels of the Pentagon sounds pretty interesting to me, but I did, you know.
Let me get that. Yes, that girl in Philadelphia, that old bit. You spent some time deep in her bowels, is that it?
Okay.
You can't say that.
That's a joke.
So, thank you, Ray. He'll be on in a bit. It's all right. He did get off my little bit. I wasn't going to be as vulgar as that, but what do you do? Anyway, so, like I said, his apartment located deep within the bowels of the Pentagon and rather well furnished, too, you know? All the modern accoutrement, as it were. So, very, very interesting. Meeting with Dwight D. Eisenhower, Valiant Thor. He was a real smooth talker. When he was asked where he was from, he says he's from the morning and evening star, which would be planet Venus. And I think it's referred to that in the Bible as well. I'm a little late to Sunday school, unfortunately. Forgive me, but that's what I think. It was referred to in the Bible, so the morning and evening star, planet Venus. And he was sent by, you guessed it, the Galactic High Council.
Of course.
Isn't that always the way?
He runs the Federation.
And it was his job to persuade mankind to halt the development of nuclear weapons. And Val convinced Eisenhower to assemble a special council. There's always a special council devoted to the ending of development
of nuclear arms?
Yeah, nuclear arms and disarmament.
Well, we all saw how that worked out.
Yes, it's obvious. But he was blocked by the Department of Justice and the CIA, Department of Justice at that time. I don't know if it still is. I have no idea. It's located in the Pentagon. And let's not forget, this was the infancy of the Cold War. We were on the cusp of the Cold War, maybe a few years into the Cold War. Yeah. So, you know, fevers were high.
Well, a guy from space is like, let's have you dismantle your most powerful weapons. You can trust me. Trust me, bro.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. God.
Yes. No, actually, that's well put there. When it became evident to Val, Surfer Val, that the president wasn't going to be able to move on this. However, Eisenhower was behind this to a degree, from what I understand. He took his plea to a Christian evangelist, one Frank Strange's UFO author, researcher, theologian. Some say all-around nutbag, but what do you know? He had a book called Stranger in the Pentagon. So, Étranger au Pentagon. So, is this a double entendre of sorts? Dr. Frank Strange's Stranger in the Pentagon? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no, I don't know. He had a specific, Dr. Strange's specific appetite for the alien and the biblical connection. A man of serious faith, unless he was a complete fabricator, then, half and half faith. He, in the book he wrote a book where he had described an encounter with angelic beings in the book of Ezekiel, and I'm not familiar with that actual book, but sounds interesting.
I'll bet it was marvelous.
Yes, Valiant Thor confided in Strange's and gave some validity to the theories, of God's opinion on humanity. So he kind of like big upped him, as they would say. Val was big upping Strange's, so it just, yeah.
And you believe in demons also.
Yeah, well, he did, yes. And that's the thing about it. So Eisenhower, think about Dwight D. Eisenhower, brilliant man, and he really, really was. Obviously, even he was a military.
Wasn't he a general?
Military general, but the thing about it is that he was looked down at by other peers of his for never actually serving in a combat situation. But he is very, very well respected, and he was very, very brilliant. Has some great quotes, but he had this great granddaughter, Laura Eisenhower, who considers herself a spiritual ufologist, And so she has like this host of other scurry made-up titles, and she is confirmed 100% the Valiant Thor story, as much as you could. And she is supposedly involved with all of these spiritual and psychic activities, and but she says this story is A1 first class, thumbs up.
Oh.
But she also in 2006 said that she was recruited to a mission to Mars.
Certified fresh.
Yeah, so exactly. So is this a true story? Is this a true tale or a festering fable? What says you? Okay. What do we think? True tale or festering fable?
What do you think?
There's someone there really just they can't see this person that's there, but you know
There are horrors
there's
in that direction.
They're right there. They've been there this entire
I don't know
through
on
this
this
entire
one.
show. Still sorry, go ahead.
I don't know on this one. Like some of it would match what I do believe in, but some of it doesn't. So
My problem is they use names like Thor and Doctor Strange, and
yeah. Oh yeah.
I have my
Where those?
I never even thought about that.
yeah.
Oh wow.
I have my doubts here, people, that this wasn't some big comic book set up by Marvel well in advance.
That is, I didn't even make that connection. All right.
So I'm gonna have to call bullshit and say festering on my end.
All right. All
This
right.
stuff is sinking into the swamp.
Okay. All right. Festering from Grimmhauser. What says you, Madeleine?
Probably the same, because it says they could walk through walls and just evaporate and come back and.
Well, when I was speaking to Ray earlier before we filmed the intro, he was screaming about me trying to take over the ship and this spirit of mutiny, but he was also yelling at me for his Take Back CD that he says that I borrowed from him back in '95 or something, and I have no idea what he's even talking about. However, what
Was he
I gonna
talking
say?
about your spaceship, or your?
No, the ship, the
Oh.
Navy's. He's a retired Navy officer.
Well,
yeah.
he's wacky enough. He could say.
But I totally
ships.
lost track of what I was going to say. I don't know. What was I? What was I going to say? I was going to say something.
Well, you were talking about CDs, but
No, yeah, but prior to that, I forgot what it was.
look, if it's anything involving Ray and something with a hole in it, I don't want to talk about it.
Indeed. So the thing about Dr. Frank Strange is it does appear that he fabricated some of his accredited scholarship. So I believe he probably had a PhD from one specific discipline, but the others, some of them didn't even exist from what I understand.
Padding his resume, huh?
Yeah. So even to this day, supposedly there is a Valiant Thor writing books and has their own Amazon page, or is that even a thing on Amazon page?
Even the extraterrestrials are getting in on the business,
Yeah. So
Did Doctor Strange and Val write a book together?
I don't know if they wrote a book together. Oh yeah, thank you. So thank you. What Ray Casper was telling me earlier, he says I was telling him the subject of the show, and Casper and I always have a chat before we go on, so he kind of has an idea, and he can take 2 minutes to look it up. And he said he came up with on the Valiant Thor stories is they were a death metal band, and he said he had been listening to them for the entire morning, had some death metal band. And I go, well, why don't you look into the story instead of And it's really funny, death metal and Take That. It's a very odd musical sort of interest he may have, but anyway. I would have to say, to be perfectly honest, as much as I want it to be true, once again, a festering fable on the Valiant Thor thing. Do I believe it? No. Do I think there's aspects of this that are true? A 300-foot-long cloaked ship somewhere hiding off of a lake in Las Vegas? No, I don't think that's true. The ship was called Victor 1, and Val had 3 other friends that he brought along on his trip, and one guy's name was Don, the the woman's name was Joan or something. Just like, these like typical 1950s names. And but anyway, not Rigis or Nimbus from
Nothing fun. I'm pretty sure they just read our minds and then just came up with some plain ass names,
I know, plain ass indeed. So yeah, all right. So yeah,
Valiant is interesting.
Valiant Thor,
is anything,
I'll give you that.
But do you remember the comic strip Prince Valiant?
Yeah, Valiant Comics, that's still going.
Oh yeah, it's so I never quite got the bull haircut. But what do you do? I know it was supposed to be medieval time, so maybe that was all the rage.
They used it for like friars and squires.
Yeah.
That's actually, I never thought about that. Yeah. Friars and squires. I'll never understand the bull haircut. I think after He-Man, they finally just nixed that whole thing. But what do y'all think? Like, I mean, should it have stopped with He-Man? Was there even a reason for the bowl cut that I don't know, that I don't understand?
Easy.
Did He-Man have a bowl cut?
He kind of did, yeah, like the classic 70s He-Man.
Yeah,
Or,
it's like they took the bowl and they like put it.
It looked like it.
Put it back a little bit, yeah.
It really looked like it.
Yeah. So yeah, the bowl cut. Of course. What is a paranormal slash satire theater show would never be complete without a bull haircut discussion.
It sounds like a band name. We're the Bull Cuts.
We're the Bull Cuts indeed. But you know what does not sound like a band name? Grimmhauser's Gamer's Guide.
Oh.
What says you, gamer?
So let's talk about aliens you cannot trust. Much like Val Thor, there were many visitors to the planet, as it turns out. One such was of the Furons. His name was Cryptosporidium, shortly Crypto. And his alien race has just like this tendency to clone each other, clone themselves and each other to the point where their like genetic legacy was starting to be in question, right? Like thinning blood and other disasters. So they came to Earth to harvest human cortexes. And that's kind of like the whole point of the game, more or less, when you're playing it. You're this little dude, the typical alien, looking to harvest people and, probe them and all kinds of other stuff. Within reason. This is a PlayStation game, so there was none of that craziness you see nowadays. And then, you got a nice little sequel called Reprobed, which I appreciated that little extra title there.
Reprobed?
Reprobed, yep.
Oh.
The title of the game is Destroy All Humans. And so, at this point, you have to... It's funny, because this whole game takes place during the Cold War era. And there's a lot of satire in it, a lot of humor. I highly recommend it for all y'all who haven't played it. It's been remade, it's on Steam. I think it's on all the major platforms probably at this point. So go take a look. I'm not giving you spoilers because there's a lot of game to enjoy.
So we will insert somewhere here.
The Destroy All Humans?
Yeah, no, we'll insert the game because, some good action-packed gaming, on this. Okay, all right.
It's some enjoyable gameplay. I mean, you get to wear human disguises, trick people, chase them down.
How old is the game?
This game, I want to say, was released in the early 2000s. I can't remember exactly when. I was caught between so many games back then.
Do you now do a lot of retro gaming?
It would be considered retro gaming by today's standards, yes. But for me, it's just like yesterday. So, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Highly recommend, though. This is not XCOM, though, so, really think about this, people. This is not your typical play. This is going back to the days of the run around, collect, and do different tasks all day kind of stuff. So think, what's even in the same vein as this game, though? Just play it and you tell me.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to introduce Grimmhauser's gaming guide. Gaming guide, because we want to bring in the gaming audience, because a lot of the gaming audience has a affinity for some of the paranormal, especially the alien stuff, right?
Some of the best stories came from games.
We want to interweave that. I want to start getting into this myself. And I'm starting to, Grimmhauser's showing me the gaming light, as it were. All I have to do is go over to Grimmhauser's house and spend half of my life,
Yeah.
you know, pining away on the what's it called, the controller.
The controller, yeah.
Okay.
Now that you can use the controller with PC, it's smooth sailing, my friends.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Do you have a game that you play? Any video games?
No, I did when I was much younger.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'd like to hear about that in a minute.
That'll be interesting. You know what else would I like to hear about? I don't know. Are you a fan of mustard or Dijon mustard?
Oh, the moutarde. Let me just say, I've always been a Grey Poupon kind of guy, but I hear that there are better brands out there for the discerning palate.
There are indeed. And when I turned to mustard, and boy, I turned to mustard, I turned to Maya Dijon mustard.
Oh,
Talk about rich, delicious, not just made for your typical sandwich. You can rub this on bone marrow. No, not your bone marrow. And before you're preparing your delicious ensemble, it says
Have you
here,
tasted bone marrow? Have you tasted bone marrow?
not by choice.
Yeah. Moutarde.
oh, the moutarde.
The French always do it.
Stone ground, pound for pound. This is a beautiful concoction. Let me just say, I would rub this on my body and yeah.
There we are, beautiful. All right, go Ray with your little commercial bit.
Ray Casper here. I think this commercial speaks for itself. So yeah, watch this snobby commercial.
We went to Greece.
Greece, lovely.
The hotel was so romantic. The rooms had this real authentically Greek feel, with very secluded balconies which provided a wonderful setting for our afternoon lovemaking. The sun has a dramatic effect on Gerard's libido, you see. He just has to look at me in my swimming costume to become aroused.
And did you manage to see the
Visibly aroused.
Parthenon?
He's such a generous lover. He just really understands my body's desires, its rhythms, its secrets.
This soup, I really think, is...
Which is why we needed the secluded balcony, because I become very vocal when he's attending to me. Did you know I used to know your father before he was married?
No.
Your mother is a very, very lucky woman.
Right.
Be a memorable guest for the right reason this Christmas and gift a jar of Mai's gourmet mustard.
That was a little different than Ray's usual voiceover for the commercial, but yeah, it's all right. So anyway, speaking of Ray, he's accusing me of trying to take over the ship. He's accusing me of mutiny, so whatever. What can I say? You know,
He's insane.
he's your friend. All right, go
My
ahead.
friend. What?
Go ahead, Ray.
Lieutenant Andreas, I've been puzzling on how to take the stride out of you, you posturing snob.
How does he outrank me?
Grimmhauser?
He knows you.
Yeoman, you have witness of
Not a yeoman.
direct insubordination toward a superior officer. Andreas, you will be placed in confinement until a general court-martial can be convened. In Jamaica, I should suspect.
How did it escalate?
The question is, will your fashionable friends be there to see your execution, I wonder?
What?
I hope so. And Betty, if your last social function was a social failure, petty officer second class, you take Lieutenant Andreas below right now. Goddamn you, sir.
Hey, we're not. What?
Take him below, you butt munch. Take him now.
I've had enough of your shit, Ray.
What's that little?
I swear to God.
Thank you, Ray. I'll talk to you in a bit. We'll see you on the outro. What's his deal? Sorry.
He's insane. Why do you look for deeper meaning with this guy? There is nothing there.
Well, it was funny to me, and it was clever, his whole bit, if it is a bit, when he was, going after Natasha and you, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, but now he believes that you're some kind of mutineer.
but now that he's turned on me, and the thing about it is it's so funny. When I spoke to him before we started the show, I didn't get any of that. He says that he had a surprise for me, but I don't.
I swear.
That was surprising.
Seriously. I swear, eventually he's gonna watch like Treasure Island or something, and he's gonna come back at you. He's gonna tell you, you need to go find what's that kid's name in Treasure Island? I don't even remember his name anymore. Jim Hawkins. He's gonna go find Jim Hawkins, and then he's gonna tell us that we have to go find the treasure. X marks the spot. Like, what else happened? What else happened, Ray? Seriously, man, it didn't happen.
Yeah, Ray's he's spiraling, I believe.
I feel sorry for him.
So do I, but
That's where you guys fail.
I don't. I know, but I don't want to compromise what I look at as a content comedy with Ray by saying, okay, Ray, maybe you should see a doctor and have a rest. I don't believe.
I call it staring into the abyss, but whatever.
Drinking a little much too.
Yeah.
So, conclusionary wrap up, Valiant Thor, Dr. Frank Strange's, Laura Eisenhower, this is as goofy as Planet Serpo, if you paranormal watchers know what I'm referring to there. But, Valiant Thor had 6 fingers, no fingerprints. And that was the only discrepanary thing that was noted about him. Besides his fancy jumpsuit, was his 6 fingers, and
he had 6 fingers on his left hand.
On both. Not on both. Yeah, supposedly, and he was able to telecommunicate with everybody and everything. He was able to transport through walls and doors.
See, that's where it lives.
Did he have a Spaniard looking for him?
You can burn off your fingerprints too.
You can burn and sand them off, but it'll leave something there. But the thing about it is that just the fact that they say they took his clothing, his jumpsuit, which had no seams, no buttons, no poppers on it, no fancy anything. It was just one thing, and they couldn't destroy it. They took a diamond drill and broke the drill. They shot at it with high caliber rifles, and
really
they could not penetrate it. Yeah, and it was made out of and it weighed next to nothing. Valiant Thor, and he was professing the same old bit, love, hope, and peace, and all of this kind of things. But he did say, according to Dr. Frank Strange's, that everything was according to the gospel, and so there was a purity to the message. I appreciate parts of this message, but is it 100% bollocks? Of course it is. But
you can't trust extraterrestrials who come in preaching peace. All right.
Yeah.
Look at how much trouble ET caused. And he was supposed to be peaceful. And he's trying to touch kids.
Yeah.
Watch out for ET, all right? You can't trust him.
Exactly. So like we were saying, festering fable. That's the way around it. All right, so gonna let Ray say goodbye, and let me guess, more mutineerous accusations.
Oh, I'm sure he'll probably promote you again somehow. I don't even know. You're a lieutenant now? What?
Well, I went from never being in the Navy and just being a civilian to being what he would call a lieutenant in the.
If you were in the Royal Navy.
Yeah, But let's see. All right, Ray. Thank you again for holding and being so nice and pleasant. Go ahead.
Grimmhauser, as your mutinous friend, I told you what to expect, or easy kept you in the dark.
He's not a mutineer. What?
Shut up, Grimmhauser.
Fuck
now
you.
hear the truth. The King's Navy will not rest until every mutineer is captured and executed.
What king?
Wherever you go, Andreas, wherever you hide, 1,000 ships will search you out. I'm not
Must be
leaving
very
you,
important.
Mr.
I guess.
Andreas. Not ever. Go to the dirtiest little corner of the world, and I'll be right there behind you with a rope in my hand. Something else maybe too.
You sick bastard.
Hey, Andreas, you like songs about soup?
Soup?
Dickhead.
The mind is just gone.
No, that's about what he was like. What I remember from him. So he's pretty consistent that way.
Dude, how? And you say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I can't see how they let him in the Navy.
I say that about almost everyone I ever encountered.
Well, he had been in there for years. I saw was he deteriorating back then?
I couldn't say. He was the exact same back then. So
Oh boy, he didn't think he was in the British Royal Navy, did he?
I have questions in my head now about that. I mean, he wore the right uniform and he said mostly the right thing. He just acted like, we were on a pirate ship half the time. But,
Oh my God.
But the other guys liked him, so what could I do?
And you were on an aircraft carrier, right?
Yeah. But the other officers liked him, and maybe he just made them laugh. I don't know what was going on.
Oh my
No
God.
walking the plank.
Well, he tried to make that happen, but I think everyone thought it was a joke.
Well, can only imagine, Anyway, tend to that mainsail or something on a nuclear aircraft carrier. But anyway, what do you do? All right. So, thank you so much for tuning into this latest screwy episode of the Erich Andreas Unexplained. Once again, we have Petty Officer Second Class Blake Grimmhauser, Grimmhauser's
Gaming Guide.
Gaming Guide, yes. All right, debuting. And we have the lovely Madeleine M. and myself. And please like and subscribe. And this is an invitation to help us on our poor little path. And let's do our best not to sully the lilies of France, and give us a thumbs up if you could, or a thumbs down. And we'll give you our thumbs up. 2 thumbs up, and the peace out, and the little birds. I love the birds.